Welcome back, everyone. I'm Zell, and yeah, what we got on the table today is something I never ever expected to own, and even whenever I knew I was going to have one, wasn't sure I was going to like it. But I ended up with an SMF CC from Strider Knives. This is a production Strider. It's not one of the customs that's been coming out here recently. So all standard Strider stuff here. So it is an SMF, and one of the first things I want to do here is give you a shot of an SMF and an SNG. I'd put a PT out there, but I just haven't found one. Don't have a PT, but there is, laying side. I guess I can get them better in frame. That would help, wouldn't it? There they are together, and that really doesn't show the difference. So let's close them up. This is an SNG Fatty limited edition, one of the ones from PVK Vegas here recently. And there they are closed. The SNG is a considerably bigger knife. And, well, let's just talk about it. It's got a closed length of 5.1 inches, a pretty skinny handle thickness of 0.52, a spine-to-spine height of 1.7, so it's big there. And what do we got here? 5.82 ounces, so it's not a lightweight. But and we have an open overall length of 9 inches. I really think that for common pocket knives, this is the longest open overall length of any pocket knife that's been across my tables thus far. I don't even think that one from Russia was this big. The one that the network smuggled in for me, but the Mr. Knife or whatever, I don't know. I've got it over there in the case. It still gets used around here quite often because it's a big old beast of a knife that didn't cost a whole lot. Anyhow, back to the Strider. We've got a 3.9 inch blade with an edge length of about 3.2, and we'll talk about that. It is a 190 thickness blade stock, so it is a big beastie of a knife. There you go. So let's get some comparison done out here. We'll use our standards. Of course, there is our Rat Model 1 and our Buck 110, and it's just bigger than both of them by quite a bit. Weighs more than, I think that thing even weighs as much as or more than the Buck 110. What else we got here? We got a Morph 5. We'll throw some extra stuff out here just because they're fun. And we've got a Thor 6 from Reich Knives. What else do we have? We gotta have, oh, check this out. We've got a Todd Knife and Tool Wristy prototype. It looks like a midget knife compared to the SMF, but then again, so does the Thor 6. What else? We got to have something else fun out here to throw out here with this guy. Oh, here's another big old heavy-duty knife. There is a Goody Van Poppel Ferox. And if you have not seen the custom Feroxes over on Instagram, oh my goodness, guys, you need to get over there and see those. That makes what is kind of a plain knife, Goody. I mean, really, for Goody Van Poppel, this is a pretty plain knife. Oh, they're just cool. You need to go check them out. Anyhow, let's get a look at the blade. Now, this blade has that stonewash that Strider uses on a lot of their blades, and in my estimation, in my opinion, it is one of the most beautiful stonewashes out there. There are a few that might trump it by a little bit, but this is good, very good. And then they leave a little bit of line in the blade, and I know it's not the greatest for cutting, but man, it sure looks good, and there's some ick that I've got on there. And then they polish over it, making it just wow. Really love the look of the blade on this one. Now we just have a standard stonewash on the back side of this guy, and we have, standard G10. It is contoured. This is the CC model orchid. Now get this, concealed carry for an SMF. I'm not sure who thought that up, but this is a concealed carry SMF. You can see that because the we're contoured here, we're contoured here, and it actually does make it carry a lot easier than a standard SMF, believe me. I didn't think it'd make that much difference, but it really, really does. So what are we talking about? We've talked about the blade. We've talked about the hardware. We've got all good hardware on this knife. Let's see. I think are we T10? Yes. We're T10 across the board. And let's see here. Where's our Weehaw? There it is. They're all pretty deep and reasonably tight. They are stainless fasteners. There's reasons that they would say that they use stainless fasteners here. Is it an excuse? I don't know. And on a knife this big, you're not going to lose that much weight by going with titanium. So I don't think it matters either way, especially with this big old stainless pivot. Now that is one of the things that we should talk about right after we go to our pause and read card. Alright guys, so the mechanical bits of this thing. First thing to know, these are blade stops. They are not thumb studs. Can they be used to flick the knife open? Well, of course they can, because they're in a fairly reasonable place for that whenever the knife's closed. But they go up against the titanium and the G10 right there, and they provide your blade stop. Now, whenever we go to look down inside the knife, I don't know if we can see that very well. It's kind of hard to see down there. There's two bumps down in there. You can see them, but it's hard to identify them as bumps on the camera. That forward bump is your blade stop, I believe. No, it's actually... It's the first bump looking at it from... Well, it's right there. That bump is your blade stop. Now, people will complain about that, but I know people that have carried Strider knives for years, and the blade stop has held up just fine. It is a piece of G10, but it seems to do its job quite well. We are on phosphor bronze bushings, and this one needs to be taken apart and cleaned because it was dropped shutty just a few days ago, but they seem to work really, really good. You got your blade holes here. You can flick it open. You can thumb flick it with the thumb stud. This one's too... Well, I guess I can thumb flick it there. Doesn't seem to be a problem there. I can spidey flick it with either this hand. My left hand is not quite as good because my thumb wants to land on the lock bar. But, you know, there you go. As far as lockup goes, we have what I would call nearly full lockup, right at around 50-60%, maybe, oh yeah, right around 50%. And that is what you're going to get with most of these knives, and it is titanium on steel, which brings up a point. If you find one of these old Striders that is titanium on steel that's never been used, chances are, if it's fairly new, you're going to have some lock stick. Now, that lock stick will work itself out fairly quickly. A little application of graphite or Sharpie on the back of it will take care of that. And we kind of gawked over this blade a little bit, but I forgot to say, this is an older blade. It's S30V, CPM S30V, which is still a very good steel. Now, some of you would balk at that, saying, well, that knife would cost me like $600 and it's an S30V. Well, if you want the Strider knife, you're going to have to either suck it up and understand that S30V is a good steel, or skip on it, because there's a bunch of them out there that are in CPM 154 that people are paying $500 and $600 for. So, you know, if that's not for you, it's not for you. You can take your steel snobbery elsewhere. But for me, well, we won't get into what I gave for it, but I wanted the SMF, and S30V was plenty good enough for me. So, and that's my opinion on that stuff. If you, a lot of times you're buying the knife design. You're not buying the steel. Now, does it need to be a relative, you know, a level of steel that is good? Well, of course it does. But I'm not going to turn this knife down because it doesn't have M390 in it. I sometimes feel that you guys can't say anything but M390. Wake up, guys. There's other steels out there. I just got one today that's in Nitro V, and I'm pretty excited about that because I think the Nitro V is going to be maybe not Nitro V, but the nitrogen steels are going to take over EDC because of their stainlessness. So your middle end of EDC, I think, is really going to get taken over by your nitrogen steels, and maybe even your upper end. I'm not sure. But anyhow, we were at what? Ergonomics. Okay, so I've got two numbers in grip length for this guy. We've got 4 inches from here to here. We've got 5 inches from here to here. That's 104 millimeters, 130 millimeters. I don't know why you would hold this knife here in a normal grip, but I suppose you can if you want to. But irregardless, there's plenty of knife there. I mean, my goodness, there's plenty of knife. And this shape here, kind of got the big fat booty, comes up here and gets real skinny around the waist, is just a really good ergonomic way to get a hold of the knife, and it just works really, really well. And then it turns around and it works good pretty much no matter how you need to get a hold of the knife. And one of the reasons it's got the big old booty, see, is because of this. You got some big jimping back there, lets you get in that reverse grip and have a really good tight grip on the knife. That's part of why the Striders have the big old booties. And you know, you could argue with it. There's some Dwayne Dwyer models out there that because of the way this knife is designed, you can cut out a lot of that there. You can probably take, what is that, more than a quarter, even close to a half inch of that booty out of there. But you know, there's two things. Would it make a better knife in the pocket? Yes, it would make a better knife in the pocket, but then you would lose that classic shape, and yeah, I don't know. So speaking of pockets, let's get our Levi's out here and see what we come up with in the pocket. And there we go. That's a lot of knife in the pocket, guys. Doesn't stick out much more than the SNG though, and it is wide though. We talked about that. It's 1.7 closed height, so we're getting to the same kind of width we get with the Pancake here in our Mannix 2 lightweight. But I've carried it quite a bit, and granted, I don't wear standard old Levi's. I generally wear some 511 tactical pants. They're actually not tactical pants. They're the dress cargos. Or I wear, I've lately been wearing some Under Armour cargos that are similar. I think it's from their Hunt series. And the knife in those pants doesn't seem to take up as much pocket. In your standard old Levi's or Wranglers, yeah, I think it's going to take up a lot of pocket. But I rather like carrying it, even though it is kind of a heavy one at 5.82 ounces. That really doesn't seem to bother me much. I know some of you are very weight sensitive, and that's absolutely your game. But, so, there you go, guys. I don't know if I missed anything or not. We did a lot of talking about the Strider SMF CC. And my opinion, I think, is pretty clear. Even running on phosphor bronze and not having any, no flipper tab, it makes for a knife that makes me want to carry it. Even with the big thick blade stock, I went through, I sharpened it. I had to dual sharpen it. I sharpened it at 20 something across the tip because Strider does this thing with their hollow grinds that's ingenious and infuriating for a sharpener. Where it's ingenious is the tip is broader than it is back here. And it's not exactly thin behind the edge, but we'll put that over on inches so the Americans can understand it. There's our behind the edge at the heel of the blade. Not bad, right around 20 thousandths. But whenever we get up here to the tip, we pretty much double that. And that causes for a sharpener's nightmare that you don't know what you're doing with it because, like I said, the tip of the knife was sharpened at 20 some odd degrees. I have to look at my notes to tell you how wide. And the back part of the knife was sharpened at about 19. So be aware of that if you think you might want to sharpen one of these that are hollow ground, because that is definitely in full effect on all of them that I've messed with. So Anyhow, we've done a lot of talking. I don't know that we've covered everything because I got way off track today, guys. But this is the Strider SMF CC. Even with its big old booty and kind of thick blade, it has become one of my favorite carry knives. And it's just something that I really didn't expect. I absolutely did not expect to enjoy it as much as I have. Whenever I got the opportunity to have one at a very reasonable cost, I really thought it was a knife that I would bring here on camera, carry it around for 3 or 4 days, and kind of shabazz it and send it on its way. But it has not been that knife. As you can see, I've sharpened it. I've spent a lot of time with it, and I will continue to spend time with it because it's grown on me. It's a decent cutter for its size. We didn't do that, and I guess we should just a little bit. I mean, it's thick. Well, not thick behind the edge at the heel, but it's thick behind the edge up there at that tip. But it's still a very decent cutter. It's got a good action. It's a little slow right now for some reason. I don't know what's up with that. But would I suggest you go out and find one and spend the money that they're asking for them right now? If you want one, look around, watch, and be careful. Be very careful. It's very easy with the current state of Strider knives to way overpay for an older one or get an older one that is not in near as good a shape as it's shown. So do be wary, do be careful. I lucked out. This knife was essentially new whenever it arrived. I don't know how long it sat around. I don't know what year these were made. There's no markings on here for me to tell, and I'm not educated enough on Striders to know what year that they did these. I was told that this particular color of G10 was a short run, but no one knew exactly what year. If you do, let me know down in the comments. That would be awesome. And I know that on that other Strider video, I said that you might be able to buy that Strider from me. This one, if you're going to make offers, they need to be those silly, ridiculous high offers that are like twice what the knife's worth, because I don't plan on letting this one go. You guys have a wonderful day. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and hit that little bell button so that you don't miss anything here on the Zelrick YouTube channel. And I will see you next time.